Okay, we've all felt the pinch of prices going up, but what if they started going down? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a crazy economic puzzle where falling prices, which, let's be honest, sounds amazing, can actually become a total nightmare.
I mean, seriously, just imagine it for a second. Everything you want to buy, your groceries, that new phone, maybe even a car. What if it all got cheaper, like every single day? That sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it?
It sounds like an absolute dream, for sure. I mean, who wouldn't want their money to stretch further? But, and this is a big but, what if I told you that exact situation is one of the biggest fears for economists? Like it keeps them up at night. That, right there, is the paradox of what we call deflation.
So to really get why this is such a big deal, we first need to understand what we're actually talking about. Let's break down this seemingly good problem.
So what even is deflation? Well, it's pretty much the exact opposite of inflation. It's when prices for pretty much everything are going down, which means the purchasing power of your money goes up. Every single dollar you have suddenly becomes more powerful.
Here's a super simple way to think about it. Imagine yesterday, your $3 bought you a burger. But today, because of deflation, that same $3 buys you the burger and a drink. Your money literally got more valuable overnight, and you didn't have to do a thing.
And you know, this brings up a really important point. Deflation is not the same as disinflation. People mix these up all the time. Disinflation just means inflation is slowing down. Prices are still going up, just not as fast. Deflation, on the other hand, is totally different. It's negative inflation. Prices are actually truly falling.
Okay, so your money's worth more, everything's getting cheaper. I know exactly what you're thinking. Where's the downside? Come on, why on earth is this a problem?
Well, this is where it gets pretty scary. It all leads to one of the most dangerous cycles in all of economics, the downward spiral.
So here it is. This is the absolute heart of the problem. It all starts when prices fall. And you, being a smart shopper, think to yourself, hey, why should I buy those new shoes today when they're going to be even cheaper next week? So you wait. And guess what? Millions of other people are thinking the exact same thing. And when everyone waits, demand just falls off a cliff. So now businesses are getting desperate. They have to slash their prices even more just to sell anything. Pretty soon their profits are gone. And to survive, well, they have to start cutting wages, or even worse, laying people off. And now you've got people with less money worried about their jobs, so they spend even less. And boom, the whole nasty cycle starts all over again, getting worse each time.
And the end game for this vicious cycle? It's terrifying. It can actually shrink an entire economy. First, it leads to a recession. But if you let it go unchecked, it can cause a full-blown depression. I'm talking about the Great Depression of the 1930s. That was fueled by massive deflation. All of a sudden, those cheap prices don't mean a thing when nobody has a job or any money to spend.
So, if deflation is this economic monster just waiting in the shadows, how in the world do we fight it? Well, that brings us to our next part.
Basically, economists have two main toolkits to fight this thing. First, there's monetary policy, which is the job of the central bank. And then there's fiscal policy, which is handled by the government. But honestly, they're both trying to do the same thing, get people to start spending money again. So let's look at the central bank's tools first. They can lower interest rates, which makes it way cheaper for you and me and businesses to borrow money and hopefully spend it. They can also buy up government bonds, which basically pumps cash right into the financial system. And if things get really bad, they can use something called quantitative easing, which is just a fancy way of saying they create new money to jumpstart the economy.
Then you've got the government side of things, fiscal policy. They can do things like cut taxes, which means more money in our pockets that we can go out and spend. Or they can start spending a ton of money themselves on big projects like building a new bridge. That creates jobs, puts money in workers' hands, and gets things moving again.
Okay, so that's the big picture government level stuff. But what does all this mean for you, for your wallet? What can you actually do to protect your finances if deflation starts to happen?
All right, here are 3 really important strategies. Number 1, get rid of your debt. Think about it. Since your money is getting more valuable, the real value of what you owe is actually going up. It's getting harder to pay back. Second, high-quality bonds are usually a much safer bet than stocks when an economy is deflating. And third, and this might sound weird, but cash is king. Since its value is literally increasing every day, just holding on to a good amount of cash puts you in a surprisingly strong position.
So all of this, these scary downward spirals, and the huge efforts to fight them, it all leads to one final, really important idea that pretty much all modern economies are built on.
2%
This is basically the magic number. See, most central banks don't want zero inflation. They actually aim for a small, steady inflation rate of about 2% a year. It's like the economic sweet spot. It's just enough to gently nudge people to spend and invest their money instead of hoarding it, which keeps the whole economic engine humming along, and most importantly, keeps us far, far away from that dangerous deflation trap.
So it turns out that a little bit of something we usually think of as a bad thing, inflation, is actually kind of necessary to prevent something way, way worse. Now that you know the hidden danger of falling prices, the next time you see one of those everything must go signs, you might just look at it a little differently.